Hello, Latin 3. Here we go. We are looking at stage 31. We're looking at about the language right now. And you can see the title is Ablative Absolute. And here is the really great thing about this. First of all, it's built on two or three things that you already know. And second of all, as we've gone through the stage already, you have kind of figured this thing out already. So I just wanted to take you on a tour of what we have seen so far. Look at back at the model sentences here. And you can see I've circled die illucescente, sacari is laborantibus, nave delegata. And if you remember, I asked you a couple leading questions about them. I asked you what case die and illucescente were, and you all said ablative. You identified it as ablative, and that illucescente was a present active participle. And so if we remember from previous chapters that when we see a word in the ablative all by itself, we just use with or by. But here we're going to use with as a helping word. So not just the day, but with the day. And then illucescente is the present participle of to become light. So with the day becoming light. All right, now look at number 3 here. Let's scroll up. We have the dock workers, again in the ablative. So with the dock workers working, right? Laborantibus, the present active participle of laboro, laborare, to work. So with the dock workers working. Look at the next one. Nawe, again, noun in the ablative. So not just ship, but with the ship. Now, this isn't a present active participle, isn't it? Delegata is a fourth principal part. It's a perfect passive participle. So we are going to do what we always do with the perfect passive participle, and we're going to translate it as having been blanked. So with the ship having been tied down. Let's look at a couple more examples of those fourth principal parts. With the fermentum, the grain, having been taken off, exposito, with the money having been distributed out. And here back to that present participle with the sun not becoming light or not rising, but with the sun occidente, setting. Literally falling, but setting, with the sun setting. So notice a couple things. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 examples of the ablative absolute just in this model sentences alone. But notice a couple things. One is that it's at the beginning of the sentence. It's a noun and it's a participle. It's not always a present participle, is it? Because here we had the perfect passive participle. That's okay. So with a noun and a participle, and it's at the beginning of the sentence, there's usually a comma there to kind of help you see that that's sort of on its own. And we just translate it like we always do. So with the day, and then whatever the participle is, with the day dawning, with the dock workers working, with the ship tied down, with the grain put off or taken off, with the money distributed, with the sun setting. And so each one of these is kind of its own self-contained little phrase, but it kind of introduces the remaining part of the story, right? So with the money distributed, the dock workers hurried over to the nearest bar, basically. And with the sun setting, the dock workers, ebrii, drunk, left the shop or left the tavern, the bar. So it kind of sets the scene here for the main part of the sentence. Looking on Ventus here, everybody. Look at this. Check this out. So even in this story, we had a couple examples. There's with the day dawning again. And notice here, sole orto. Now, orto from the verb that means having arisen. So we can see that is actually a perfect active participle. So we're, again, doing the same exact thing with the sun having arisen. That's it. Here, with togas torn, with shoes broken, split. And then if we keep going here in Salutatio 2, we get a whole bunch more examples, right? With eyes fixed on the door. Now notice we've added something in the middle there, but it's still the same, with the noun having been participled, with the eyes having been fixed on the door. Here, Yanoa subito aperta, with the door suddenly opened. And here, praecone viso, with the praeco having been seen. Omnibus tandem silentibus, with everybody finally being quiet, or with everybody quiet. Here, nominibus suis auditis, so with their names having been heard. And the last one here, his verbis dictis, with these words having been said or having been spoken. So these are all really, really good examples of what's called the ablative absolute here. Okay? This all tells you exactly what I just showed you here, is that we have a noun, we have a participle, they're in the ablative. We can see too that it's set off by a comma here at the beginning, so it's kind of setting the scene for the main idea of the sentence. So the main verb, the main action is the soldiers left. But this gives us a little bit more info. With the city having been captured, the soldiers left. Uh, every single one of these examples in number 3 here, A through F, with the arcu having been dedicatoed, with the money, the pecunia, having been amissed, with the victimis having been sacrificatis, with the leader duce having been interfecto, with the clamoribus having been auditis, with the Janoa having been claused. Okay, so I'm hoping that I'm sounding really repetitive because that's the point. With the blank having been blank, this is an ablative absolute. Now they do show you, as I did earlier, a couple examples where we have present participles. So with the custodibus, dormientibusing, right? The present participle from sleep, so sleeping. With the pampa, procedenteing, and with the priests, the sacerdotibus, ad stantibusing. So we do exactly what we've always done. Take the noun, take the participle, put a with in front of it. Here are some examples of perfect active participles, with the merchant having profectoed, with the messengers having regressist, and with the consul having spoken these things, locuto haec. So we see it can be any participle, it doesn't matter, but it's the noun, it's the participle, they're in the ablative, it's at the beginning of the sentence, that comma's there, that's kind of nice, at least that'll be there for the time being to really help you see these things, and we just got to remember with the blank participle. That's it, ablative absolutes, everybody, good luck.